Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Before we get started on today's reading, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, you can go down below into the description box. There's plenty of information on how to go about doing that. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this video. Before you on the screen, we have the different symbols to choose from. And once you've made the choice of your symbol, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one symbol that comes through for you strongly today. And remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. I'll leave you to make the choice of your symbol. And once you've done that, down below are the timestamps to navigate to your reading. And I will see you in a moment.
Hi everyone, welcome to symbol number 1. This is your reading. We're looking at what's going on in the workplace today. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on down here with death. And the 9 of Pentacles, a good place to start with yourself in the past. I feel like this has been a very long transition of trying to find employment. Here with death, I feel like for many of you, this is an ending linked to a new beginning where perhaps you've either lost your previous role, so you've become unemployed. You may have taken a redundancy or some sort of exit strategy. It may be that you've decided to go in a very different direction in terms of your career, but I do feel that this is a definite long and very drawn out period of transition in terms of employment. And I feel that this has been a very difficult time that has been quite slow in terms of trying to find the ideal job. I feel like this has created an enormous amount of uncertainty and put a lot of pressure on you in terms of your financial situation. That could be, for some of you, that maybe you had a payout with limited income means, or that others may be surviving on savings, or that you are getting unemployment or some sort of limited income stream. But I just feel here that your finances, your security have been very pinched, and things have gotten very uncomfortable on a very practical level. I feel like you're having to really push yourself outside of your comfort zone here with these two cards in a way that says that you're trying very hard to kind of fight off a very difficult situation that could really be very detrimental in terms of its impact if you don't gain employment sooner than later. I felt that this could even be a significant gap in your CV, and maybe that could be perceived negatively. I feel here, not only have you actually had to push yourself outside of the comfort zone of your circumstances, but I think also pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone in terms of trying to succeed in something that you really want. I feel like this is actually a very good basis for rebuilding yourself in a way that maybe you hadn't anticipated, or maybe that you had wanted to rebuild yourself. It feels like you've really kind of hit a point in your world where it's ground zero and the only way is up. And I feel that for many of you, in terms of development, promotional advancement, or some kind of sort of financial advancement, that this has been very much a deep-seated and burning thrust that's really kind of pushing you to sink or swim, really. I think it's do or die here in this situation in a way where, you know, if you get what you want in terms of entering into this new phase of employment, it could be really amazing for you. So I do feel that there's been a lot of positives here, as much as there has been some very breathtaking and anxiety-driven circumstances that I really do feel have left many of you in a situation where you haven't been able to take anything for granted. It's just, you know, you're just in a set of circumstances where you can never really relax. Every day is a work day for you because you're constantly having to figure out taking yourself to that next step in terms of finding employment. You can never really sit back and relax and have a bit of fun. I feel like here with Strength and the King of Cups, I feel like this has landed you in a place where you've actually found your perceived ideal workplace situation in terms of an opportunity that aligns with your deeper desires. Here with strengths, it's definitely a card of healing. I feel like this has been an opportunity that has opened up for you in a way where you've really aligned yourself into a job that just feels right for you. I feel like you're feeling very happy with yourself, that you can finally relax and enjoy yourself, knowing that there's this amazing opportunity that gives you all of the things that you were really desiring. I feel like you can rest here in a way that consolidates after being on high alert for a really long time. I just feel like your energy has really begun to find its place, find a resonance that just is vibrating at a much more optimal level. And I do feel in terms of this opportunity that whoever it is that's interviewed you, or there's some sort of point of contact within this opportunity that has just really positively reinforced your situation in a way that has left you to feel that this is the right place, this is the right time, that this is the right opportunity. I feel like people have seen you and been very admiring of your performance in terms of who it is that you are, what is it you actually have to deliver in this particular opportunity. I feel like they're saying that you are the right person for the job. And I feel like you're kind of feeling very rewarded by that. It seems like it's a reinforcing, affirmation that feels that this is actually the right thing to do in terms of the role. I feel like you're very passionate about this role, and that you see an enormous amount of opportunity that really allows you to apply yourself at a very, very deep, maybe even very personal level. I feel like for many of you that this is maybe the role that you've always really wanted. Maybe you've actually kept this, this idea within yourself at a very personal level and just really hoped that one day that this could be the role that you could attain. I do feel a lot of passion about this in a way where everything kind of just feels like it's landed in a very good place. I feel like you've landed the right job. You're with the right people. You feel reinforced about the way you've been received. You see an enormous amount that you can apply to this job in terms of giving yourself to it at a very personal level. And it just kind of contrasts so starkly from where it is that you've actually come from. It's a place where you can relax and begin to heal after what's been a very difficult, very nail-biting period of time. Down here with the Magician and the Knight of Wands. And this is more in the here and now, and I feel like you've hit the ground running with this particular role. I do feel for many of you here with the Magician, definitely a card of facilitation and communication. I feel like everything is kind of flying here with the Knight of Wands. It just feels like you've landed into this job and that you're kind of maneuvering in a way where you have everything at hand and that you're kind of shuffling things around and moving and shaking. I feel like you've launched into this role at speed. And that I don't feel like there's been a lot of time to think about things. I think you've just been caught up in the doing. I feel like you're very intuitive in this time, in this opportunity, in a way where whatever you're doing, however it is that you're interfacing or integrating into this role, I just don't feel like you're making any mistakes. It feels very positively aligned. I feel like you're making a lot of changes in what it is that you're doing here in a way that feels quite effortless. I feel like there's a lot of engagement with what you're doing, and I feel that you're all over every aspect of the role that you have taken on here. There's an enormous amount of energy coming through here with the Magician, and I feel like, again, you've hit the ground running, but I feel like you've got a lot to put into this role and you're really keen to kind of move and shake things, maybe redirect, reassess, redistribute, or reapply in a different way that's maybe more personally motivated by yourself in a way that makes sense. I feel there's a lot of moving around in this role. Maybe you're moving around the organization or around the workplace. You could be on the road. You could be traveling with this job, but it definitely feels like you're you're kind of moving and shaking every possible aspect of what's going on. And I feel that you feel very positive about this. Yeah, a lot of communication going on here that's very effective. And I feel like you're facilitating a workflow that is just really giving an enormous amount of lift off. Whatever it was that you actually had decided to engage with in terms of the reasons for this role, I feel that you've applied yourself very directly and immediately, and that things are flying. And I feel like you are really putting your head above the line here in a way that other people can see that you're doing this job. I think you see a lot of maybe new or more efficient ways of doing things. But what I get the most with these two cards is that you're really enjoying your job. I just feel like you've really immersed yourself in this and that you're giving 100%. So I kind of feel like you have definitely launched at speed and that you're giving all of your skills and your experiences a test, really. This is definitely a very ignited beginning in terms of the role. Up here with the Wheel of Fortune and the King of Swords, I definitely feel an energy here that is pushing back on you. I feel like things are beginning to take a turn for the worst here with the Wheel of Fortune in a way that says that you've come up against resistance and friction. Here with the Knight of Wands, I feel like what you're trying to facilitate, what you're trying to push forward, the ways that you're actually trying to opportunistically ignite this role, I feel like somebody or something has taken an issue with that and that they're pushing back very hard on you. I do feel here, this is a very aggressive energy coming through here with the Knight of Swords. I feel like this person, it definitely feels like a person, like I feel like somebody's feathers have been ruffled. I feel like somebody isn't happy with the way you have kind of rolled the dice, and I just feel this person has had their nose put out of joint. This person doesn't like what you're doing. They don't like what is it they see. I think they can see things are turning in a new direction. I feel like this person is perhaps set in their ways, or at the very least, I think just resistant to change. I get a lot of anger and frustration coming out in a very confrontational way. And I feel like this person has actually said things to you, has definitely signaled to you in a way that is very aggressive and forthright. I feel like this person is not holding back. I don't feel like this person has been particularly sensitive in terms of adapting to you. I think this person is challenging you in a way that is saying that they're not going to roll with this new way of doing things. I feel like this person is definitely trying to undermine you here in a way where they're cutting you off at every turn. They're pushing you back, they're pushing you down. I think they're trying to make you feel very uncomfortable. And this person is definitely going out of their way. They're making an enormous amount of energy. There's a lot of energy coming through here in a way that feels quite overwhelming. And at times, I feel unsafe here. I feel like there's a lot of risk. I feel this person is being threatening. I feel like this person is being very pointed, and it's aggressive, and it's very out. There's nothing hidden about this. I feel like this person is directly challenging you, and I feel that this person won't listen to reason, that this person simply just doesn't like what you're doing, and maybe they don't even like you. They certainly don't like your new ways of doing things. And I don't feel like there's any way of getting around this person. This person could be a very central obstacle to facilitate or to kind of push forward in a way that you had hoped to with this role. I feel like this person is very central to stopping you, and they're kind of cutting you off at every turn. So whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, I feel like this person is in the way of taking it to the next stage. They're putting up a fight of resistance, and they're laying down the rule with you. I kind of just feel like this person is giving you the hand and really pushing back. So where is this all going to go in terms of an outcome? If you come over here to the Emperor and the Seven of Swords, I feel here, you're constantly feeling here in the balance with the future. This is the next step into your timeline in terms of where things are going. And I feel that you're having to sort of constantly watch your back here in a way where you feel unsafe, where you're uncertain about what's going on. there's gossip and small talk. I think also very questionable, undermining political tactics that are going on that are really trying to undermine your power here with the emperor, maybe undermine your authority, undermine your power, undermine your structure. I feel this is very persistent and very fired up in a way where these actions are kind of piling up, with evidence. I feel like this is quantifying by about this point as bullying. I just feel there is collective evidence that leaves you feeling you have to constantly be watching over your back. You have to remain vigilant. This energy here with the emperor is a very policed energy. I feel like you're being watched all of the time. You're being scrutinized. You're being questioned. You're being undermined. And there is this persistence here with this idea of trying to make you uncomfortable, not allowing you just to get on with your job or to take things for granted in a way that let you just kind of, feel that you can succeed. I feel like you're always on guard here. And there's this definite sense that the honeymoon period with this particular role has completely evaporated. That's well and truly done for by about this point. I felt this sense of feeling vulnerable was really strong here in a way that leaves you to feel that you need to keep tricks up your own sleeve. That maybe you're watching over what's going on in a way where you're collecting evidence, maybe aligning yourself politically with certain people who can assist and support. But I did feel here with the Emperor, this is a really strong boss energy. I feel like you're going to the boss with evidence, with grievances, and that you've here with the seven with the seven of swords. I definitely feel like you're going to see an authoritative figure here in a way that is sort of off the record. I feel like you're going to have a quiet word, that you're aware that you have to be very careful of how you act and what it is that you do or who it is that you talk to. There's a definite sense that you're feeling on the back foot and that you need to take this evidence that is collected over a period of time to somebody who has some kind of authority. And we come up here to the Hangman and the Six of Swords. I feel here in the outcome, in the final stage of this particular situation, that things will begin to calm down and that they will be managed into calmer waters. I feel here with the Six of Swords, there's definitely an authoritative figure who is assisting, supporting, and actually managing the situation. I feel perhaps the person that you've actually gone to speak to or whoever it is that's sort of associated at a level where they're kind of here with the Hangman behind closed doors. I feel like things are happening behind closed doors. I feel like there is action that this has been taken on in a way where it's sort of very indirect. And I feel like somebody is guiding the situation forward in a very effective way. I feel like the issues are going to be dealt with in this situation. And I do feel here this is going to be happening behind the scenes in a way that sort of stops any further attacks on you. I definitely get a sense that the negative energy has been led away here. I feel like you will remain in this role and that you will continue on. But I do feel like, once again, I feel here with all of these swords in the future, that feathers have definitely been ruffled here in a way where I just feel that there is a sensitivity that has now been developed in a way where you're kind of feeling you have to be very careful about how you manage yourself, how you engage with this role, what is it you try to achieve. I just feel like the issue has been resolved, but the sensitivities are still there in a way where the swords could kind of appear again and kind of get you by surprise. My sense here is that you're kind of waiting out time to sort of give time and space for this particular issue, and I think that you're going to be very careful not to tread on anybody's toes. I don't feel that this is coming back to bite you, but I feel that the role is much more restricted than perhaps you had hoped that it would be. this idea that you would jump in and kind of passionately just immerse yourself into facilitating change, empowering yourself to kind of, move and shake things in a way that kind of reached new heights, have been dampened by a very resistive energy here that has been quite aggressive. And although I feel things have been calmed down and that there is definitely support for you in terms of management or with your boss or with the overall structure, here with the Hangman and the Six of Swords, I feel like it's capped, but I don't feel that it's completely out of the room in a way that says to me that this is done and dusted and that you can just kind of get back on with it. I feel that there is an enormous amount of sensitivity around what is it's happened, and that everybody's on tenterhooks in a way that leaves you feeling that you can't just be yourself again, that you have to always be on alert and watch out just in case somebody actually takes a strike at you and tries to undermine what you're trying to achieve. For me, this is a role that has kind of reached a limitation, and that if you were really feeling that you wanted to immerse yourself in a kind of unbridled, unrestricted fashion, that this was definitely not the role for you. For my Patreon followers, if you would like to hold for a moment, I will be with you in a second with more on what's going on here. For everybody else, if you would like to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who I am, what it is I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to symbol number 2. This is your reading. We're looking at the workplace situation today. We're going to jump in and have a look in the past, starting down here with Judgment and the Three of Wands. Good place to start with yourself. Here in the past, I feel you've definitely come to a place where you feel like it's time to move on from your current role. I feel like you're turning your back on an episode of employment that leaves you feeling that there are better things further afield, maybe within the organization, but I feel you're ready here to turn your back on this place of employment if you have to. Here with Judgment, I feel like you've been in consultation, laying down the law, having a very serious conversation with whoever it is that's related to this structure. That could be management, your manager, your supervisor. I feel that you are at a place where you've approached these people, this person, this structure with necessary discussions that are about mapping out your future. I feel like you put a lot of pressure on this situation in a way that is trying to articulate some kind of structure that takes you forward. And there's a sense here of trying to show them the way in terms of you moving forward in advancement of what you're actually currently doing at this point in time. I feel that the need to move forward is definitely at a break point. I feel like whatever it is actually taking you to this particular situation, that you're just ready to move on. You've done all that you need to do. Here with the Three of Wands, there's a vision about something that's bigger and better for you, a sense of exploration to do things that you haven't done before, and you're ready for this. I get a sense that you've done all you need to do here in a way that says, I can't stay, I need to go, I need to move forward. I feel like there's a definite desire here to explore and develop yourself in a very acute way. It feels like you've plucked up a lot of courage here in a way that is really pinning down, pointing out and articulating the fact that you need to move forward. I don't feel like this is necessarily a flexible conversation. I feel like you're ready to turn your back if it really comes to that. If the structure of the workplace doesn't respond to you in an agreeable way, in a way that actually gives you the type of advancement that you're really looking for, I feel like you're practically giving an ultimatum here by saying, well, I will move on. So perhaps this is actually approaching the situation with a bit of leverage to say that you have nothing to lose. Do you want me? Don't you want me? I feel that you've put the word out here in a way that is really saying that you want to develop, that you want to grow, that you want to move forward, that there's more for you in terms of of taking your career trajectory to a new height. I feel like your ear is to the ground, both in-house but also externally as well. My sense here is that you've just come to a place in your career where you want to move forward. I feel that you're prepared to do that within this organization or within this structure of workplace. But I feel at the same time, you're not afraid to kind of go it alone and actually step outside of that and find what you need somewhere else. Yeah, there's a definite feeling here, like that you're kind of using leverage, that you're prepared to turn your back on the situation, that there's more out there for you, that you've got nothing to lose here. Yeah, so you've laid out a case, is how it is that I feel here. Up here with the Chariot and the 10 of Wands, I feel in response to that situation in terms of the direction of your situation, I feel like there really hasn't been a lot of change. I feel like it's been business as usual, and you've just kind of been pushing forward in a way that hasn't really broken into any new territory. There's no new ground. I don't feel like you've stepped outside of your role. I feel work has been really persistent in a way where it's kind of backbreaking at times, but you seem to be a person who is all about getting the job done, and I think that you really like a challenge. So I feel like you've really thrown yourself into what is you're doing, and that you've been taking it all on, and despite the fact that it's actually been a burden at times, I just feel that your success-orientated mindset is really sort of trying to show an example of how it is that you could be better used, or what it is that you're actually more capable of doing. I feel like you're trying to lead by example, trying to show yourself as being somebody who is highly employable, who can break through this current limitation in a way that experiences new offerings or experiences new possibilities. I do feel at the same time you've been very caught up in what you're doing. It feels as though you're doing a lot of donkey work here in a way where all the basics have been thrown on your back. You've got a full plate and then some extra on top of that, in a way where I just feel like you're really trying to just get things done day to day. There's a relentlessness here. My sense here is that you're keeping a very positive and successful mindset despite being overworked. I think that you're not losing hope here. I think you're remaining hopeful in a way that you're hoping that there's going to be greater achievement, that you're leading, once again, you're leading by example in a way that shows everybody that you're capable. And I think in many ways, you're very much an exemplary employee. Very hardworking, incredibly persistent and consistent. I think you've got a very positive mindset. You're very can-do. I mean, everything that gets thrown at you, you seem to just run with it in a way that gets the job done. There's never a job that's too big or too great or too burdensome. I don't feel like you really say anything that puts you in a bad light. I think that you're a person who really does try to prove themselves. That's for sure. I think and I think you're trying to show everybody here that you are employable. You've got what it's made of, essentially. Over here with the Star and the Ace of Swords, this is more in the current position, and I feel like this is the situation reflecting back to you as an extension of this situation here in the past with the Chariot and the 10 of Wands. I feel like you've been completely unrewarded in a way where, despite all of your efforts, there's just been no kind of positive engagement that actually progresses you beyond what it is that you've actually been doing. I don't feel like there's any acknowledgement, there's no feedback, there certainly is no possibility for advancement here in a way that says we're going to promote you or give you what it is that we're actually talking about here with Judgment and the 3 of Wands. I think all of your quite incredible efforts, because you're really pushing hard here to show what you're made of. I think that you're very uncompromising in terms of just doing the job, in a way that's very positively attuned. I don't get a person who whinges and moans, who feels that this is too much. Some of this is really I feel like really burdensome work, quite backbreaking. Like I do feel like you've had a very full workload, and it is deserving of some kind of reward. And I just don't feel like you're getting that here with the Star and the Ace of Swords. I feel like this is a slap across the face. I feel like after investing so much of your own time, effort, this is a real blow. Like the fact that nobody is actually progressing you, that nobody is acknowledging how hard you've been working, that you've just gotten no kind of reward here, to me says that this feels almost like it's really personal. Yeah. Despite the fact that you've actually already raised the fact that you want to move forwards, the lack of response, the lack of involvement in terms of developing or progressing you speaks so loudly in a way where you can no longer ignore the fact that you're actually standing alone here in a way where nobody has your back, nobody is on board with developing you, that you're not getting any closer to where it is that you really want to be. And I feel here with the Ace of Swords that you're saying to yourself in this kind of very stark, recognizable moment, it's like, God, I've had enough of this. I think I'm ready to cut loose. Like this is really insulting. It goes very deep to the core of my experience here in the workplace. It feels like a slap across the face, and I feel like I want to move on. I feel like I want to cut away very decisively and just be done with this experience, because this feels like an insult to me. And I've got nothing left to give. I think this is where I feel like all of a sudden you're empty in the workplace. Like after giving so much, investing so much of your time, all of a sudden it's like, no, I feel like I just want to turn off the tap. In fact, you have turned off the tap here in a way that says, I'm done. I feel like there is a decision here based on insight and the reality, the kind of the truth of what has been a very difficult realization that this is not going anywhere, and that you need to pull back in a way that says it's time to move on. So I feel like you're essentially saying here that the workplace is dead to me, and I'm ready to go. Down here with the Moon and the Ace of Wands, I feel like in response to that, I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty that has been generated within yourself in a way that feels very uncertain as to what is possible to get a new job. I think that you want a new job, but there's just this sense here with the Moon that you're not feeling confident about what it is that's up ahead. Here with the Ace of Swords, definitely a sense that you want to look for a new opportunity that ignites your career path in a way that takes you to where it is that you want to go, but you're feeling very uneasy about that. There's a lot of anxiety around the future here. It's dampening this potential of what is possible in terms of getting out after making this quite sort of stark realization that it's time to go. I just feel there's like a deeper dread that has begun to seep into your experience in a way that you feel like getting a job is not going to happen maybe in the way that you want it to, or that you're just feeling a lot of doubt and uncertainty, and maybe you can't even put your finger on it. But there's this really strong sense of uneasiness. There's the spark here with the Ace of Swords to want to move on and actually find a new role. But the Moon is definitely dragging this down in a way where it's forecasting difficulty, and maybe even setting in this kind of depressive vibe that says, I just don't feel optimal about this, Maybe you've had a look at what's on the job market and none of this seems to be relatable, or maybe you've been scouting more broadly over a period of time and putting the feelers out through a network of people, and you're just not getting any positive response. I don't feel that the job that you're wanting is sitting there in front of you in a way that says this is a yes, and that it coincides or dovetails into this realization that it's time to move on. It just feels here that there are roles, but none of them are what you really want. And so this generates this enormous amount of worry, and I feel like it interferes with the functioning of your day-to-day experience in terms of how it is you see that you are advancing in terms of the potential of finding a new job, maybe how it is that you're feeling about being in your current job. It's a sense that everything feels like it needs to change. You're ready on one hand to move on, but it just doesn't feel like what you want is there to be able to actually seize the moment and to make the clean cut that I think that you've actually really sort of faced within yourself that you need to do. Yeah. So you know that it's time to go. You realize that this place has got nothing more to give to you, but finding that next thing is just kind of feeling a little bit uncertain. It's not clear as to how that's going to manifest. There's a lack of confidence and a sense of maybe that this is going to maybe take more time than you had anticipated, or that it's just not going to be as easy as you thought it might be. And we come over here to the High Priestess and the Two of Swords. I don't feel here in the future, in terms of you progressing along your own process here, that all possibilities feel like they're amounting to nothing. Yeah, I think here with the Two of Swords, your mind is really starting to shut down in a way where it just doesn't see any ability to be able to attain the success that you really want to attain. I feel like your vision to be able to manifest what it is that you want here is really shutting down in a way where you can't see how it is you're supposed to do this. I feel like you're sort of really retracting within yourself in a way where you're feeling very lost about manifesting a new role. I think that your mind, it's almost like a creative shutdown, like a writer's block or a creator's block in some way. I feel, here with the High Priestess, like this lack of vision, this inability to be able to see what is it you really want to the future here with the Two of Swords. I kind of feel like these two cards are really clamming up, seizing up in a way where you just can't see how this is supposed to work. And I feel like you're kind of working against yourself. So you've really retracted into your mind. I feel like there's a sort of like a real separation that is withdrawn into an inability to be able to really see how it is that you can actually structure or manifest what is it you really want here. I feel in many ways here that the time has come for you to put up your hand for guidance. I just don't feel that you're actually successfully doing this on your own. I feel like it's a case of sink or swim, and I do feel like here in the future that you're really sinking within yourself. And maybe there's a fear here to actually put your hand up and to really express what is it you're feeling to somebody else. Back over here with the Chariot and the Ten of Wands, I get a sense here that you're a very driven individual who is very capable and that you're used to doing things on your own. I don't feel like you're ever really calling for any assistance or support here. I think your sort of modus operandi is one where you're really trying to show other people by example what is it you're capable of doing. I don't sense that you're really involving other people or integrating other support systems into your success vision. It's very much, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to also do it on my own. I think you like to do things independently. I think you're used to doing it that way. And maybe this is sort of like a lack of awareness that, sometimes you need to actually put your hand up and ask for help. And I just feel like coming back over here to the High Priestess and the Two of Swords, that you've come to a point here in a way where you're actually taking a step back and saying, I can't do this right now. I can't see what it is that I'm supposed to do. I don't understand what it is that I'm supposed to do. I can't think myself out of this situation. I feel trapped. I feel blocked. I don't know where I'm going with this. I need to take a step back. So I do feel that you're also saying in a more constructive fashion that you're actually taking a step back and saying, until things actually become clearer, it's best not to push forward. I think that there's a realization that your mind is drawing blanks and that there's just only so much that you can actually do, and to put yourself under more and more pressure only closes you down more and more. I also feel there's a state of exhaustion here. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like you actually have pushed so hard for so long that by the time you get to this point here with the High Priestess and the Two of Swords, that it's almost as though, like your mind is shut down and it's very separate from your physical body. I feel there is a state of exhaustion, like a need to replenish, a need for this vision to come to you to some degree. It's almost like you're chasing things too hard, right? If I come up here to the Lovers and the Two of Wands, I feel this is a really positive outcome in terms of how things conclude with this timeline. There's a new relationship, a new working relationship here in the future that provides a vision for you in terms of where you're going and what is it you're going to be doing. I feel that you're pairing somebody here with yourself in a way that works with them in a very close way to develop a vision as to what the next steps are with your career trajectory. I feel through this relationship that you're understanding new choices and possibility, and that all of a sudden you can see what you couldn't see before. You've gone from being really blocked to having this full vista as to what you want, where it is that you're going, the potential of the future based on your career. I think that your thoughts and your feelings are very positively shaped by the involvement of this other person. And this could be a specialist agency, it could be a mentor, it could be a colleague, or it could be an employment broker. I feel like there's no need to do this on your own. You know, it comes back to what I was saying before. I feel like the lesson in this reading is about putting your hand up and asking for help in a way that assists this vision. It's like two heads are better than one. I feel like brainstorming is really important here in a way where you're bouncing ideas, bouncing around in a vision that collectively shows you what you're capable of actually achieving. And I feel like with two people, the next steps unfold in a way that is very effortless. I think you'll get to a point here where you'll see what you want and that you'll lock into it in a way that is 100% focused, and that it's just a matter of choice in terms of figuring out which way to go. And once you've done that, you're basically at the doorstep. For my Patreon followers, if you would like to hold for a moment, I will be with you in a second to discuss this further. For everybody else, if you want to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.